Welcome to the Alchemists Inkwell.
This is the spiritual podcast for grounded people. She says as she holds on to her Labrador for dear life today.
I'm Emily.
I'm KristaLyn. This is a dynamic episode because we are coming into the week of December that has quite a bit going on. We're coming out of a week that is the least active, but still like some shifting energy that sets us up for what we're coming into as the year wraps up. And like, we are going out with, I don't want to say a bang, because I don't want people to be like, oh my gosh, it's an explosion. No, it's a bang. It's a bang. It's like, it's okay. So there's a lot happening. Remember that a lot of this is happening on a collective societal level, and we are feeling that because we are part of the collective. And really, like, that's beautiful, isn't it?
It really is.
I've been trying to find perspectives in this, and like, that's the one that I really love the most.
And it is happening on a collective level. You're not wrong. And like, you can look at the energy and just be like, whoa, okay, there's stuff going on with everybody. Everybody's feeling it. And it is leading up to, like, we're in the middle of the holiday season at this point. Like, I always say, like, happy Christmaka Yultrinalia, because it's just so much all together in the same.
Yes. I'm going to learn how to pronounce that. Christmaka Yultrinalia. Yes. It rolls right off the tongue. I like it.
Oh, it rolls right off the tongue. I think might be an overstatement of that. But I mean, that's what it is. We're in a space that is so festive and gathering. And a lot of people are really triggered this year because it doesn't mean the same thing it has before, because we've gone through an entire world shifting change. And now we're trying to reconcile that. And so if you're not feeling particularly holiday-ish, we're here to validate that too. And that is also part of the collective experience. But that's also something we're going to talk about on this week's episode, because we have a ton of crazy astrology coming up. It's a lot of really intense stuff. And then we also have the energy of the solstice that is going to happen when you're listening to this episode as well. So that is on the 21st, 22nd, depending upon what you're celebrating. So we're going to talk through that a little bit as well. So just hopefully validate your experience, and then also give you some ideas throughout this on how you can personally navigate all of these energies and celebrate and get yourself into that space where you are feeling more confident with the energies, and then you can relax and be in that Christmassy, Julie, let's light a tree on fire spirit.
Yeah. And, like, to that point, I feel like one of the most important parts of this week that we're coming into is to remember to just be in the here and now. Yeah, a lot's happening. So we can only take it one step at a time. And we're trying to really redefine that feeling of Christmas. In fact, one of the things I talked to my husband about this yesterday, I was like, I felt it and then I didn't, and I want it back because it's like in a week. And, in my family, we celebrate Christmas. So what I've done, my favorite Christmas music is actually pentatonics, the acapella kind of amazingness, and the way that they jazz it up. So high vibe. So I've dedicated myself to like 5 to 10 minutes of dancing and singing to pentatonics holiday radio every day.
How fun.
It is the most heart-opening experience I've had. I've been having, personally, but like listeners, hey, I've been having some challenges. We all have, I'm sure. And they've been really bogging down my energy. And one of the things that has helped me has just been dancing like a crazy person to Christmas music with my dogs.
Perfect.
It doesn't get a whole lot more high vibe than that, I imagine. So
yeah. I have a couple Christmas movies that are my absolute favorite that I make the kids watch with me like 6 times before it's Christmas. And so last night we watched one of them for the first time, and they're like, dang it, like, it's starting, where you're going to watch them. I'm like, yep. And you're going to be sick of them. And then one day when I'm gone, you're going to watch them every Christmas because it's going to remind you of me. So shut up and let's watch.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that's getting me into the holiday spirit. We haven't even decorated yet. We're finally back in our house after a whole pipe breaking incident, which ended up being a cluster. And if any females out there are dealing with a lot of mansplaining males right now, totally empathize. That's the energy too. Lots of mansplaining happening. A lot of it. I had to deal with plumbers who were mansplaining. I had to deal with my landlord who was mansplaining, and I'm just really over that energy.
I've even seen TikToks coming up of even like divine male, masculine to masculine, just over explanation and under appreciation for another person's intellectual ability. And I think
Mhm.
that's what it really comes down to, is someone is so focused on presenting their intelligence and validating themselves in that space
Yeah.
that they forget that the person in front of them is a human being that is willing to just be on equal footing with them.
Yeah.
So, we're all experiencing that in our own little ways. And if you are, the frustration is valid, the feelings are valid, and just know that that's probably where the other person is coming from. And you're just able to witness that with some grace and
Yeah.
ease, which makes you very strong and powerful.
Yeah. So that has been why I haven't been in the holiday spirit, I think, is I've just had so much of that coming up. We haven't even had a chance to decorate yet. And so I'm like, that needs to happen. But we are getting snow. So if
Yay.
anyone is struggling with the fact that it's not feeling very Christmassy, I highly recommend there is cameras at the top of all the ski resorts up here. So if you look up like Heavenly mountain online, you can look at the top and they have a bunch of different cameras and you can watch the snowfall on the ski resort and watch the ski lifts getting buried slowly because it's a huge storm today. So if anyone needs some like Christmas spirit and you want to watch real-time snow, that's my high vibe recommendation for you.
My husband was
Kirk,
just complaining about that because it's going to be like 60
yeah,
here. We're getting this
yeah,
heat wave. And he's like, I don't get snow on Christmas again. I'm going to send him that link. Thank you for the
yeah.
suggestion.
Yeah, Kirkwood has
Yeah.
one too. Kirkwood's my favorite resort. So if you want to like just check it out, it's really pretty snow right now too, like big flakes that are like falling, and it's just very. And we're gonna get a storm on Christmas too that's supposed to drop like 5 to 10 inches. So
Yeah.
if you want to, that's my recommendation. It's really pretty.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a couple exciting things happening. We have a couple opportunities to help us grow happening. Yes. So, and a lot of those
Opportunities.
opportunities to help us grow. Merry Christmas, everybody. There's your euphemism for the week.
Yeah.
What was it? Christmas.
Christmaka Saturn or Christmaka Yule Trinalia.
Merry Christmas Yule Trinalia, everybody. Here we go.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
let's do this. So one of the things before we get into the solstice, there are several things happening just before that, and even just after that we're going to touch on in this episode. The first is, hey guys, we have a full moon and it's not an eclipse. This is the full moon in Gemini. So if there's anybody out there that's been like, how do I honor this full moon? Do you have any rituals you recommend? Blah, blah, blah. For the last 2 lunations, my advice has been, no, don't do anything. And I know that's kind of a bummer. And I want to say I'm sorry, but I'm also really proud of the people who have honored the ability for stillness during that witnessing a collective movement, rather than trying to put your energy into it, more to the point of not seeing what's happening around you. Because that was the idea, right? We got to sit back, observe, and then see where we could move with grace and ease.
Mhm.
Now we can move. It's fantastic. Like, it paid off. So this is a full moon in Gemini. And what I really love about this is it's got a lot of nice energy about to happen. It's also got some challenging energy in there, of course, because we've got these aspects like the Saturn Uranus aspect. Pluto and Venus are still chilling quite close together at this point. Venus is about to do her little backwards walk for a while. So there are definitely some opportunities for, I don't want to say stillness. What I want to say with this, because it's retrograde, because there's a lot of change of structures and things that come along with this Saturn Uranus transit that's coming up. We'll talk about it more probably in next week's episode, but just to touch on it as I have been, this is an opportunity to look at what has meaning for you and allow things that I appreciate nostalgia, but if something is there only for nostalgia's sake, and it's not serving you anymore, and in fact, it makes you feel judged or limited, this is the time to let that go. If it's something that is there and it makes you feel better and you miss it, and it would like make you feel more yourself, this is the time to unearth that. One of the things I've been using a lot, a phrase to explain this particular Venus retrograde through Capricorn, spending so much time with Pluto, is that Venus is tilling the soil in our relationships. Right? This feels like a tilling of the soil. And the other predominant aspect during this that people have been talking about a lot is that Saturn Uranus. It's a changing of structures. This is a time to either bring back or to just completely do. And as you were saying, we're trying to figure out, what does Christmas look like now? This is a time to redefine your traditions. Traditions don't have to be, it's how it's always been done. Traditions can be, this is how we do it now. So that's one of the things I really want to recommend, especially with the major theme around this moon being in Gemini is changeability.
What date is it and what time is it?
Thank you for asking.
Just for
I almost
everybody.
forgot.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
you're
So
good.
this is on the 18th of December. And if you're on the East Coast like me, I have the map set for like New York or Pennsylvania, if you're where I am, 11:34 p.m. So doing an evening moon honoring thing is perfect at this point. This is a really nice time to be doing to like, it lines up with where we would normally want to be doing the things that we would do for this. But it is also, a full moon is typically about releasing when you're doing it aligned with manifesting. It's a culminating energy. The moon is full, it's filled up, the cup is overflowing. So we have all of this stuff that we've acquired, and now we allow it to integrate. That's why you release. You get rid of the things that are in the way of you really integrating and moving forward and recycling your energy. So if we think about the moon in that way, this is a time for us to allow change to make itself apparent to us. And now we can go into, over the next 2 weeks before the next new moon, we can think about, what changes do I want to make? What do I want to implement with the new year that's coming up? This is in perfect timing for the next new moon to be right around a new year as well. And there's something really cool about that correspondence that I think will really lend its energy to looking forward to some optimism, especially since, Jupiter's about to make a good move, you guys. So I'm looking forward to that. And there are positive things coming, but just know positive doesn't have to be old. Positive, just like traditions, they don't have to be what it always was. Positive can be exciting new, which is how I like to define change. Exciting.
I think it's really cool that you highlight the fact that like a lot of traditions, especially when it comes to like connections and nostalgia, need to go if they're not making you feel good anymore. Because I know this is the first year that I've ever seen the quantity of articles and posts and everything about like how to deal with your, racist family members during the holidays, and how to confront your, like this during the holidays, and how to navigate going home, and like those kind of things where it's like, maybe don't. Like, you don't have to if it's not making you feel good, and it's okay to prioritize the things that are going to make you feel good and have new traditions because of that. I mean, typically we would go for most of the kids' life. So on Christmas, we'd get up and open presents, whatever. And then by 1, we're heading down to my parents' house because they live about 30 minutes away. And we do dinner and everything there. And then we come back. And then last year we didn't do that because of COVID. And we decided from now on, we don't leave our house on Christmas. We stay in our pajamas because I was always forced to leave the house on Christmas too, to go to church or whatever. And I was so upset as a kid to be like, oh man, all my new toys and stuff are just sitting at home unwrapped, and now I have to go kiss family members, like, yay. And we're like, nope, we're not going to do that. Same sort of tradition is like, prioritize the things that would make you feel the best, because at the core of it, the day is, for each of us on an individual level, is the way we naturally want to honor and celebrate ourselves, whatever, if you're celebrating it on the solstice or on Christmas or whatever, it's like for you, and we tend to make everything about everybody else. Like, that's very human nature. And so I think that's really cool that you're highlighting that.
Yeah, this moon also is trine to Jupiter. It's like a couple degree minutes away, so like more or less a degree away from coming into an exact trine with Jupiter and Aquarius. And in the chart that I've cast for the East Coast, it's also right in the, like right up top in the sky, culminating in the sky, which is really cool, right? So it's saying like, this is a culmination of our awareness, a permission to give us curiosity into our consciousness, a broad vision, bringing things to light. Because again, the moon is filled with light at this point. It's culminating in the top of the sky, kind of like the sun at noon, right? Jupiter is lending its positivity to that. So we're really just saying, hey, I choose to look at what I've been through, culminating again, full moon, preparing to release, to look at everything I've been through with that appreciation of what it's offered me, and to look forward with optimism towards what's still to come. And I really think that is just such a great energy to bring into not even just, the Christmas season or I'm going to forget it again, but I love the way you put it. This holiday.
Ultranalia.
Thank you. Keep saying it because I want to remember it. Christmica Ultranalia season. It's a great perspective to bring into that. But it's also a great perspective for the fact that we are coming into the darkest time of the year, which is about to yield to the light again. Let's yield to the light a little bit ourselves. I think we could all use that in so many levels.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've studied a lot of different solstice practices, both ancient and modern. So Yule takes place over the course of the solstice. Saturnalia takes place technically over the course of the solstice, but it usually used, like in ancient times, it would last like a week. Heliogena, which is a like ancient Greek kind of festival, but now we have like a modern revival of that, takes place over the solstice. And one of my favorite parts is like Heliogena. It's really interesting, is that the day before the solstice, you spend a lot of the day cleaning stuff out and doing offerings to basically like the darkness, essentially, and like all of the stuff that you've gotten this year. And it's a lot of cleaning, and it's more of a like reconciling energy. And then the second that the sun goes down, it's silent, and you are offering libation to Persephone and Hecate, and no longer Helios, all of the dark kind of, Nyx, that kind of thing, the energy there. You burn last year's pomander and orange peel decorations that you made, because the energy is essentially dying from the last year. And then you are up at sunrise, and when the sun comes up, you celebrate like nobody's business. It's now offerings to, you start a fire, and it's warm and it's cheery, and you create new decorations, you create a new pomander with new intentions, you're doing libations to Apollo and Helios, and like all of these amazing energies of like the day, and the sun is back, and the sun didn't actually die, and like that kind of energy, which I just think is always so reverent and beautiful, to be like, we honor the dark, it's lovely, but the sun is back.
Yeah.
Which is just powerful.
I love that. Yeah. And coming into the solstice, there is a lot of opportunity for turning inward. One of the things I really like, and this is, people like to take retrogrades and kind of very Plutonian, gloom and doom them up a little bit. And again, I am someone who is very prone to doing that myself with a lot of situations. I am an active optimist, which means it takes some effort to find my optimism, but I actively do it with everything that I look at. When I catch my negative thoughts and I reframe them as much as I can with practice, and it really does help my whole life. It's transformed my life in a lot of good ways. And so when I look at something and I'm just like, oh no, I have to think about where's the oh yes in this. And then I find it.
Right.
So on the 19th, Venus will station retrograde. And she is very much interacting with Pluto. So that Persephone energy is there. But what I also really like about this is, on the same day as like a little touch of positivity, the sun forms a sextile with Jupiter. Now that's an opportunistic kind of aspect. It's not like so easy you could miss it. It's the hand up if you choose to take it kind of energy. And it's from the sun, right? The one who gives light to everything, the one who's about to just make a comeback seasonally anyway. So to Jupiter, which is fantastic, right? Jupiter is the greater benefic. So I always call him the ghost of Christmas present, come in and know me better, man, that guy. And I like that about him. My husband gives off that vibe a lot because he's got Jupiter in the first house. So it's just awesome. But from the 19th through the 29th of January, Venus will be backsliding a little bit. So anything that you've been going through, listeners and anyone else who might be watching this or anything, just know whatever you've been going through in relationships, or even with finances, or with valuables, or with trust, those themes that Venus usually plays a hand in quite handily, have been coming up lately. And it's been like, hey, I'm here. And now between the 19th and the 29th of January, we're looking at it. We're like, oh, you're here. Hi, come stay a while. Let's chat about this. And that's what we're going through. And so some of the themes that I really want to make sure we talk about is the beauty of, like you were saying, allowing things to decay because they become the fertilizer for the new things that grow, allowing the shadow to have its moment before trying to chase it away with the light too soon. The thing about shadow is it's calm, it's quiet, you can breathe. And then you can shine the light on it and see it for the beauty that it might have. Because like, if you turn out the light, we're all shadows. And then you bring the light back up and it's like, oh, it's just you. Or, it's like my dog was the thing making the noise in the corner. Wow. Thank you, Jack. He just made a noise in the corner. And that is my dog. Wow. I love that. But you also then have this opportunity to actively move along with this energy and say, yes, I recognize this time to allow old structures to fall down and be remade. Yes, I allow myself to be empowered by what I've been through. Look at that shadow thing that you've been avoiding and meet it. I actually recommend, I did not find this to be the highest vibe read when I read it, but the Secret Life, or no, the Forgotten Life or something of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab.
I think it's The Secret Life of Addie LaRue.
Is it The Secret? She's a character who's doomed to be forgotten, but it's because she made a pact with darkness. Yeah, I know. It's behind me somewhere.
Invisible. It's invisible.
The Invisible. Yes.
Invisible Life
I
of
actually
Addie LaRue.
recommend for this energy of Venus retrograde, reading The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue might help you understand how to have a relationship, an empowering relationship with shadow work, with darkness or whatever, just because the archetypes are very prevalent in the characters.
Alternatively, I would also recommend the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I'm reading it right now, and it's really, really cool as far as like standing in your power and like having one face that everyone sees, and then the real life of who you actually are, and like that shadow work aspect. I'm all for as well. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, highly recommend standing in your power, especially when it comes to trusting your intuition. I don't like to bring up touchy things, but like if someone's making you question yourself, disregard that for a second. Oh, this is for me. Okay. If someone's making you question yourself, disregard that for a second. And then look at it and give yourself the opportunity to trust yourself first, to believe yourself first, and then act as though you know what you're doing, because you've done your research, because you are standing in your power. Don't act against anybody else or to hurt anybody else, because that's how you know you're probably not taking the most aligned or unconditionally loving action. But act as though you know what you're doing and you deserve the best. Treat yourself the way you would your best friend. And I think that's going to be really helpful for using the energy of a retrograde constructively. And then just to look ahead really quickly, the post shadow of this, so the time where any loose ends get wrapped up and we actually start moving forward and laying to rest any themes that come up for this, will be January 29th through March 1st. So on January 29th, the revisions will be done, and then we go into the editing, as I like to put it, in a writer's context. So you go into just putting the final touches on things, wrapping the bow, moving forward, stepping out as Persephone rising from the underworld to bring spring back, which is so appropriate, having this go into March 1st. So that's a great thing to keep in mind as well.
Yeah. I completely agree with all of those things, and I think that's incredible. I did want to bring up a couple different ways to honor the solstice, depending upon how you're particularly feeling, from those different like historical contexts, and also just kind of, I don't know, do you have any specific practices you do on the solstice that you feel aligned with?
Me? Yeah. I absolutely do, because I am an astrologer. So like I am every day honoring the planet of the day and just looking into that energy and aligning myself with that. And I do this because, I do come from a Christian upbringing. So for anybody out there who's relating to that as well and trying to justify the two interests as I do, I believe that the sky is a reflection of, an astrologer put this beautifully the other day, that the sky expresses the thoughts of whatever creator you align with. That's God, all creator mind, whatever. It's the thought. It's what the creator is thinking in that moment. If we are all in that cosmic overarching
I love that.
mind.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Tuesdays, maybe the all or whatever God is thinking about this kind of thing, and that, all of those things. And there's a time for all of that. So I like to really honor where we are in the moment. I used to do this. I travel abroad, and I've had the honor of traveling abroad frequently. And whenever I would go somewhere new, I would stop when I got off the plane, close my eyes, picture a globe, and then picture where I'm standing on the globe, just to honor that I'm somewhere new and different, and just to be present in the space that I'm in. And I try to do that with astrology as well. just honoring where we are, what the energy is like. And, the fact that for me, the days are about to get longer, huzzah. So I will light candles and just do a lot of gratitude work and just kind of revisit the me of the past year and thank her for everything that she did as I lay the year to rest and come into something new. Yeah. So a lot of my manifesting things are just acknowledging where we are in the world, like where the energy is and what my part to play in that is and where I get to be, because I'm a thought of the creator too. I came in at a certain time when the creator was thinking a certain thing and he happened to name it KristaLyn, and that's where I am. So I love
she,
that.
they, it, whatever. Just
I've my lifetime of experience with my history of faith just leads me to call it that way. But yeah, I
do the same.
I
do the same thing just out of habit.
Yeah.
I actually asked creator that. I actually asked creator once of, hey, is it cool if I use a pronoun? If you don't want me to, I won't.
Yeah.
Literally the response I got was, could not give a fuck. And I was like, cool.
It's like, well, and all of it came
just out of habit.
All of it came from them anyway. So honestly, I think if I had a suggestion for someone, because this is what I've just decided in my own head in this moment, whatever pronouns you're comfortable with for yourself, try using those and see how it feels.
I love that. Totally going to do it.
Yeah.
She, they, all the way.
Yep. Same. Yeah.
I always feel bad saying that my pronouns are they, to be totally honest, though, because I'm not a non-binary person in that way. But when I'm saying they, it's either I'm talking about myself and my body, which are two separate entities, or myself and my guides, which are many entities, and then me. So sometimes I have to be addressed as multiple. That's how I
honor and respect that about you. I think that's totally fine.
Yeah. Thank you. But still, I don't want to ever take away from anyone's spotlight who is a non-binary person. Yeah, absolutely not. But
I think in the moment you would be there to allow them to have whatever spotlight they needed to be able to have their piece mentioned and honored and respected too. So yeah, I have every confidence in you, obviously.
Oh, well, thank you.
And to anybody listening, I have every confidence in you as well, because if you're listening to this podcast, you're my kind of people. So
yes, totally
I just know this about everybody who's listening.
So
I know you must be amazing. So just so you know, if you're here, you're awesome.
We like you.
And/or butts. Yeah. Just really quickly, one more thing. The day before the solstice, we actually do have Mercury trine Uranus retrograde. So that's a lot of change. Uranus is retrograde, but don't let that stop it. Right. So Mercury is change close to us, and Mercury or Uranus is societal change or intrapersonal change. So we've been witnessing Uranus changing a lot of things, especially this year with Saturn interacting to really make that tangible for us. And we'll be feeling that a lot on December 24th when it hits exact. It has been exact twice this year already. So don't feel like something is going to come out of the blue and just totally sweep you off your feet. We've been in the action of being swept in all of 2021. And in the next episode, I can touch on that by giving examples of what we've seen and what might be continuing and completing as we get this final exact pass. It will happen again very closely next year, but this is the final exact that we'll experience, not have to. We are honored to experience the movement of the cosmos, if you ask me. So that we will be experiencing, but the solstice, we will navigate. Yes, we are the navigators of the cosmos. I really like that. So the solstice, which we've already been touching on, but gosh, I'm not even looking at the chart yet, and I'm just already feeling the relief that this hope kind of brings with the return of the light, so to speak. Even though Saturn is still in that very active position of beginning to finalize that square with Uranus, bringing fundamental changes to societal structures and our resources. Again, that might sound familiar. As I say that, you're probably thinking of at least 3 things that relate to that. So it's not something that's brand new and coming out of the blue. It's something that is in the process of changing, and it's a big change. So it's taken time. And and
it's only appropriate that Saturn is super active, because historically, Saturnalia was this time, which is Saturn is Kronos, if you guys have more of a Greek background. So that is the father of Zeus. So that's why it's a lot of father energy in the zodiac. I did want to share one thing I read because I was looking up ways people celebrate this festival in a modern sense, because again, I'm never practiced any sort of Saturnalia in a modern way. I've just learned about it so much since apparently ancient Rome is a special interest of mine, and it just is getting more and more and more so, which I did not anticipate it being so, but here we are. And one thing I saw, and this I wanted to share with you specifically, Krista, because I thought it was the cutest thing, is someone made a Saturn ornament, an ornament of the planet, and they waited to hang it up on their tree until the night of the solstice to honor Saturn. And I thought it was just the cutest. And one other person was like, I actually make a Saturn ornament every solstice and hang it up that night. So I have a bunch of different Saturn ornaments on my tree to honor that progression.
I
just
love
thought
that.
that was amazing.
Oh, guess what I'm doing? It's going to be like a foam ball with pipe cleaners around it because of, how much time we have, but I'm doing it. And then next year I'll make it. But yeah. Right? Oh yeah. I'm going to make like a
paint it on a little piece of cardboard. Like it's fine. Like,
yeah. Light my black candle. Cause Saturn, not because I'm of darkness, anybody, Saturn rules the color black. So it just so happens that of the colors, black is attributed to Saturn. So I have a black candle that when I'm, honoring Saturn or thinking about Saturn things, like on Saturdays, Saturn day, I light a black candle. So it's not like, it's not like hocus pocus kind of black
darkness.
Candle. I'm going to bring back the Sanderson sisters on the solstice. No, it's just because of the attribution of the color. But it also is appropriate because the solstice initiates Capricorn season, which is ruled by Saturn as well. So of course there's that tie-in, right? Like that is a natural tie-in. And it is amazing that we are going through all of this change and it's been building up. So like, it's amazing as in an amazement to behold. This cycle has always been culminating and people have seen it coming for decades, but it's just, again, it's an honor to be in the moment with it, to be able to watch it happen. And so we are experiencing those changes at the moment of the solstice. Actually, the moon will be in Cancer. Moon rules Cancer. So the moon's in a really nice condition, but it is opposing Venus retrograde. So we have this opportunity, while it is also forming a trine with Neptune and Pisces, there's this emotional tension in our relationships. And it may be easy to either be disillusioned in the relationship, or because you know about this, you can honor the energy. So rather than being affected by and reacting to the energy, which might show up in disillusionment, we can say, hey, this is the perfect energy for, flip the coin, deepening our spiritual connections and having a rebirth of the soul of our relationship.
Oh, so I love that.
Yeah, I really want to empower people to, people say, oh, well, the transit is what the transit is. And it is, right? The energy is there, but the way that the energy emanates in your life, or the way that the energy shows up in your life, that's something that you can move with rather than resisting. So in a resistant way, when you're not being conscious and things are just happening around you and it becomes hard, then you might notice some disillusionment. And it may be temporary because it's just a moment of disillusionment in the relationship. Or you can say, hey, the weather's perfect for a stroll. Let's go for a stroll. And so if this is the weather of deepening spiritual connection, then let's do that. Let's actively say, as a part of honoring this renewal of light in the sky, let's renew the light in our relationship. Let's see each other from the deepest part of yourself is the soul. So in the darkness, you find the soul just as much as in the light, you see the face of someone. Honor each other's soul in the relationship. So when you look at their face, you can see beyond it and see into the soul of the relationship and walk as to like higher, your higher consciousness, your higher self. You can be a higher self with another higher self. And that to me is a really nice energy to look into. And I would recommend if anybody's feeling, and even if you start feeling that disillusionment, you now know to catch it and say, oh, flip that coin. Let's take this and make it something instructive. It's like fixing a recipe when it goes wrong.
I was just going to say, all that to say, you should probably talk to your relationships or your important relationships in your life and let them know that this kind of thing is coming up so you can make a plan. And so it's not just you like, I know this is going to happen. And then when something happens and they are in the dark about it, like it's a really beneficial time to communicate in that space. Absolutely. Another great thing to do on the solstice, which I always recommend, is to do card pulls for yourself. That is always super duper helpful with a very receiving, not even necessarily asking question energy, more just like gonna pick a card, or even get a new deck and use your new deck for the first time.
Yep. I have a deck I'm saving for this solstice. The one that you gifted me, Emily, is the one I'm saving for the solstice to do sort of like a year ahead. What do I need? What am I integrating kind of experience. I'm really looking forward to it. I keep wanting to use it and I keep getting a not yet. not yet. And it's like, oh, fine. So it's going to be like Christmas morning when I finally get to bust open that deck and connect with it a little bit more. Another thing
I
I
actually
recommend.
just bought a brand new deck. It
Did you?
is oh gosh, I wish it was up here. All my other decks are, but this one's not because I just bought it.
Mm.
It's based on fairy tale, folklore, and myths from around the world, and they're very, very interesting different cultures. I want to tell you the author, but again, it's not up here, so I don't know. But it's beautiful, and the artwork is beautiful, and we've already been to Romania and Tanzania and like
Oh,
all these different places. Like it's
I
really, really
love
cool.
that.
So I haven't really been using it. I've only used it once, and I'm like, I'm going to do the rest on that time. It's been really dead on for the one reading I did. So
Mm.
that's a big one to do. Another thing that's really important, both if you're wanting to I just want to highlight like two traditions that I think are really, really cool when it comes to like ancient stuff that you can make kind of modern. Um, with Saturnalia, it's dressed really brightly colored for the nighttime, both the night, like during the night to kind of light that up. Basically during the time of Saturnalia in ancient Rome, the nobility essentially, or the like higher class, always dressed very modestly in very like calm colors, except for on Saturnalia, they dress however they want and as bright as possible. And also what they would do is any sort of slave was free for that day. So every slave had a hat basically that's just dictated the sense that they were free. They would get to sit at the head of the table. And it wasn't for that day. It was for like a whole week long celebration. But so anything you can do to feel more free, to give of yourself, anything like that, that would make you feel really good, do that. Art is always huge. Music, dancing, absolutely. If that feels really good for you during the solstice, do that by all means. Also, gingerbread people is where we get that from on Saturnalia. So eating images of animals or people is huge for that. For whatever reason. It was really cool. So the Temple of Kronos in ancient Rome used to always have his feet bound in like a linen, like all year long until Saturnalia came. And then they would like cut the linen and like he even got to go dance and be merry. So just kind of a fun idea. And if you want to emulate that on any of your statues or even on your own hands or anything like that, where you can like have a symbolic like breaking free of yourself, that's really beneficial. The other thing I wanted to highlight in different Yule celebrations, of course, there's the Yule log, which comes in a very variety of different forms. If you have the ability to have a fire, that's always really powerful, or at least bake one and eat it. That's always really huge. And decorating trees, making wreaths, all of that is very Yule. So if you want to highlight that, doing some sort of craft thing there. One of my favorite, and this on both solstices, this was a tradition in the Celtic celebrations. So Yule is actually, a lot of it is based on Nordic celebrations, but there was still a similar celebration that the Celts did. And you had to put out all of the fires in your homes, and there was the only fire was the bonfire in the middle of town. And at the end of the night, everyone took a log that was lit from the bonfire to light their own hearth fire to lead them into the next season. And so I always find that just incredibly beautiful. So if you can start a fire, even just a small one in a bowl or a small one outside, or if you have a fireplace in your house, and then you light your candle from there, from like this larger flame, and then you light your solstice candle in that space, I think it's just a beautiful like honoring of the fact that the sun is coming back.
You know, a modern way you might do that as well, especially since so many people have friends who are far away, like you and me. Do a Zoom party where someone lights a candle and then they, direct it to someone else, and everybody lights their candle and then lights their fireplace or whatever from there. So the bonfire becomes a virtual one,
Oh,
but
I
I think
like
the
that.
energy and the intention would still be there.
Yeah. But yeah, isn't that cool? I always thought
It's
that was
so
just like
cool.
the most beautiful. I personally, on the solstice, I always make a pomander with my kids. So that's an orange with a bunch of cloves stuck in it. And with each clove, you're kind of just putting your energy of intention for the next year. You burn the ones from last year, you hang those up on your wall, they live there all year, and then you do it again next year. So we always do that. The kids love it. It's super fun. And it also just gives us time to sit together at a table and like do something together. That's not like playing a board game. It's just like sitting there, and we have soft music on and just kind of zenning out, which is always really fun. And it always is just like a nice little energy refresh. So if that feels aligned with you too, by all means.
It absolutely does. And I think it's also a really great time, especially with the astrology that's going on. Even the sun is participating in a trine with Uranus at the time. It's a little bit wide, but it's coming up, it's still in the future, which I think is really cool. For looking forward to the brighter days, looking forward to change, choosing to be excited about changes. And so this is a really great time to make your resolution, wish list, manifesting list, just things that you're excited to see show up in your life.
Yeah.
really just give yourself that. We all need a moment to be happy about something, because I think the world has been impressing on us many reasons to be fearful or scared or sad or all this other stuff. We need to choose at some point to say, okay, you know what? There are so many things happening in the world, but if I am out of commission because my vibration is so low that I can't function, I can't help any of it. So this is a time to nurture your vibration, to lift it up, to recharge it, so to speak, until it gets back up there. And then you can rise like the sun and go out there and make those changes, be a part of the changes on whatever level is accessible to you. And whatever level is accessible to you, that's where you're supposed to be. Don't think that just because it's on a local level, it's not important. Things start
or even
small
just in
and
your
grow
house.
big, or it's so important to do whatever you feel drawn to. It's not an obligation to do anything. If stillness is your purpose right now, honor that. I don't think we need to pressure ourselves to always be looking for something. But if something shows up and you know you can do something about it and you feel drawn to it, it'll be there and you will be there. And what is for you truly will never miss you.
This is genuinely true. Absolutely. I fully agree with it. Also, I just want everyone to be aware too, if you're feeling more like energy presences, or you're feeling your guides more, you're getting more clarity, or you're starting to see things out of the corner of your eyes, all of that stuff, very on par with this time of the year. Like the darkness also, as I've given this analogy before, if our world and our plane of existence is a Venn diagram, the circles of the Venn diagram are coming closer, so there's just genuinely more overlap. So there's a lot of different energies from different kind of realms, that stuff coming into play in a big way. It's also a wonderful time, and I recommend this every solstice. I've talked on this on the past podcasts, I've made videos about it, but pay attention to your dreams during the solstice, period. Every time. Like if this is the time you want to start keeping a dream journal and you only want to do it for this week, by all means go for it, because a lot of times that's where our strongest communication comes in, especially during this time of the year, because again, we are steeped in darkness right now. We are genuinely just letting all of that come in, which means there's just more space for the energetic worlds to be at play. And oftentimes, especially if we're less conscious during the day, especially with all the stuff that's going on astrologically, when we're kind of just trying to navigate the energies that are coming our way, most of our communication may come in a dream sense when you are more in a surrendering mode. So if there's specific things you want to ask your guides for, by all means, ask them. They will help you. They always do. But paying attention to any messages that might come through in that space will be really beneficial. Yeah. How are you feeling? You good?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I will say, I know it's been a doozy of a past week or two, and it's not all been bad stuff. That's the other thing. It's not just been like, oh, it's bad stuff. It's just exhausting things. And I think that is kind of the universal collective experience that's been happening, at least in the past week that I've been tuning into, is everyone's just like burning the candle at both ends. It's enough slices of pie. Like the whole energy is just too much. And that's okay. I just want to make sure that we highlight that though. Like if you're feeling like too much, like, yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. You are not alone. You're certainly not alone. It's been a lot for everybody. And, a great opportunity, especially right now, as we're going through this cycle of beginning a retrograde and then going into one, write down what's been big for you lately. And then as it comes up for you again, you'll be able to track it like a record and say, oh, but this came up already. So I know you're on a hero's journey. You're at the beginning of a journey. We're entering to the middle of it during retrograde. And then you'll have the resolution of it through February into March. So just know you're the hero of your story. And this is one of your action scenes.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that empowerment. Way to end it off on a good foot there too.
I mean, empowerment's my jam. I love empowerment. So
and don't forget about the full moon on the 18th. That one's super important. You finally get to do some shedding. So decide on what you want to shed. I feel like for some reason, and this is just a ping that I'm getting, if you have snow near you and you want to write the thing you're shedding in the snow, and then either let it melt or stomp on it and let it be gone, really powerful thing to do. Or using, I think, burning with a candle would be really beneficial also for this particular full moon. Just
put
feels
some snow
very
in a
aligned
jar
in
and use the water to cleanse.
Oh, that's a fun idea. I like that. Thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate you all so very deeply.
Yeah.
If you haven't, we really encourage you to check out our YouTube. You get to watch
Yeah.
us talk, which is very fun. We have very fun facial expressions, I promise.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
incredibly exciting.
And sometimes you see a corgi or two. I mean,
Right? You're just like
yeah.
sneaking through the back.
They're
There
great. I
goes
love them.
Jack.
Yeah.
Really, it's like Where's Waldo? You just get to spot a corgi.
Yeah.
It should be just a game. If you find a corgi, comment on the YouTube what time you found the corgi, and we'll see how many of you get all the corgi appearances correctly.
Yes. Also, if you have any questions that you think would make a great topic for
Yes.
for an episode, go ahead and you can comment them on a video. You can email us at forgottenstorytellers@gmail.com.
Mhm.
If you want personal, if you have like questions that are for you specifically and you want personal discussions with Emily and myself, you can check out our websites, find us on TikTok, and schedule private readings with us where we'd be happy to dive into your energy and your charts with you. Emily is at Liker of Words, and I am at The Real KristaLyn, and we'd be like excited to connect with all of you. So check into that if you're interested, if you feel drawn.
Also, we will very shortly be opening up submissions to the Forgotten Storytellers program. We are accepting pitches here in just like 2 weeks. So if you've ever wanted to write a fiction story, if you have a wonderful idea for a fiction story that you think is very it's screaming at you to be written and you really would love support in doing that, that's what our program does. And we will talk more about that in the next couple episodes, but I wanted to get you thinking, if that speaks to your soul, or if you've seen us speak about it before and you've been like, ooh, I feel like doing that, now is the time to start getting your story idea ready. It can be as loose and not fleshed out as you want it to be. That is okay, but it's high vibration fiction is what we go for. High vibe doesn't just mean all suns and rainbows. My last book was about cannibalism. So like, it's totally fine. But yeah, just start thinking about it because we're opening it up to that and we will be accepting pitches very soon, which is exciting.
Yeah. I can't wait. That's going to be amazing.
Me too. I love our programs. It's so much fun. We're lucky. We just get to experience it with you and it makes us giddy. So
yeah, and we always have the best people. So, and we know that they're out there. We know they're probably listening to this. So we see you. We can't wait to meet you.
Yeah. And the people who've done it before. We love you.
Yes, so much.
All right. Well,
all right.
On that note, we just want to encourage everyone to
go
make some magic.
Maybe we should go alternating. I don't know, but have a great solstice and Christmas. Mary, Emily, help me out here.
Happy Christmaka Yultrinalia.
There you go. Maybe next time we'll say that one at the same time. That'll be a blessing and a magic.
That would be like if we're doing like the baby rounds right now, we all of a sudden like jump to the super championship level.
Yes. Yeah. For
all
now,
right,
just go make some magic, you guys. We believe in you. Bye.
Bye.